laps, and that kind of played out as we thought. This weekend, once again, looks like Red Bull has everyone covered, but maybe not by the same gap. But you never know what they're showing. We feel pretty competitive. We were working on a variety of programs there, so I don't think the lap time, so to speak, was representative of where I think we'll become qualifying.
There were some pockets of potential in Bahrain, you know, with Lando pulling together purple sector and the most technical sector. So there's clearly some potential in there. After the session in these more representative conditions, where do you think you'll fare this weekend?
I think the grid will probably look fairly similar to Bahrain. I'd like to think we might be a little bit more competitive. I think we were a little bit more competitive in Bahrain, but we didn't quite get our qualifying laps together. But here I feel like we're maybe a little bit closer to the front than we were in Bahrain, but I hope I don't eat my words now that I've made a little bit of a prediction.
Just to talk a little bit about that session then, Zach, obviously you split the medium and hard across the drivers, which is very important learning for the team, as we all know. But did that sort of hurt Lando a little bit, having to make the jump from the hard to the soft tyre? He ended up a little bit off Piastri, which is, you know, not normal necessarily, and maybe all in the middle sector. So how does a team gauge that split between the learning medium and hard, which is important, and then the driver getting that all-important qualifying lap?
Yeah, it always surprised me with these Grand Prix drivers how you can have a certain run program, and then when it's time to turn it on, they haven't had any practice either at that fuel load level or those tires. They got one lap to do it, and they do it. And I guess that's why these are the 20 best drivers in the world. We're not seeing a huge difference between the soft, medium, and hard tires here, where you see some bigger deltas at racetracks. So I think the leap from tire to tire here isn't as big as it was in, say, Bahrain.
What about your drivers with the bumps? We heard George Russell and Max Verstappen saying because you've got to run these cars so low, they're hurting, and it's almost unbearable at times. Are you getting the same from yours?
Yeah, we're playing around with ride height. I don't think we've yet found our sweet spot, if you'd like. So we've been playing with that. That's one of the things we've been working through, if you'd like.
Another issue we saw out there this session was with regards to traffic, and on a track like this that can very quickly become dangerous. There was some frustrations from the Ferrari drivers with Lando. We saw a big moment potentially happening between Lewis and Sargent. How are you guys managing that? Is it quite tough to make those calls out there and pre-warn them?
It's tough. You obviously do the best you can. This track is so fast, but you also have blind corners, high speed, so the driver's really dependent upon us. So we're going to have to be on our A game on pit wall because things happen so quick. Fortunately, come race time, should be less of an issue because everyone's at race speed, but I think come qualifying and getting clean laps, that'll be pretty critical because it's a fast circuit.
I'm pretty sure your pit wall can manage that, Zach. I've got faith. So you mentioned a little bit about the setup there, and obviously this track, we think qualifying is important, more important maybe than the race, because how difficult it's potentially going to be to overtake. So how do you as a team strike that balance between qualifying out-and-out performance? You can maybe run the car a little bit lower, manage those bumps, but you've got to make it through the race distance as well.
Yeah, I think you always have to go for race pace, because I think especially a circuit like this, probably a high likelihood of a safety car being a street race. So I think if you go too far towards qualifying, you'll have a fast race car, but maybe not as good of a race car. And I think given safety cars being a street race, I think you're going to kind of go a little bit towards race setup beyond ultimate one-lap performance.
Last one for me then. Prior to testing, when I talked to Lando and I asked him under oath whether he thought he was going to get a race win this year, he said yes. Then we had testing. He thought he might perhaps have changed his mind, but it's undoubtedly very tight between the packing behind Red Bull. What's your assessment? What are your targets for this year, bearing in mind the start you've made this year compared to last, and what Lando achieved post-Silverstone?
Yeah, I think clearly we want to improve on last year. 9 podiums, 6 seconds, 4th in the championship. So we'd like to go at least one better in all of those areas, and he's certainly fast enough to be winning multiple races. We just need to get him in a position to win. Same thing with Oscar, obviously one sprint race. So knock on wood, hopefully this will be Lando's first year on the top step of the podium.
We shall see. There we go. I'm like you agreed on that. Appreciate it, Zach. We'll let you get back to your debrief after that session, and best of luck for the rest of the weekend.
Thank you very much.
Good stuff. Okay, so Fernando Alonso, top of the